Bill the Hill McGill was one of the best high school players in California, using his elite offensive skill set to dominate opponents. At 6'9" and 215 pounds, he was long and agile, and his soft hands allowed him to handle the ball well for his position. He had a plethora of moves in the post, as his patented jump hook was impossible to guard. He severely injured his knee as a junior in high school, and this was a thorn in his side for the rest of his career. But he pushed through the pain and earned a scholarship to the University of Utah. Bill was one of the best players in school history, becoming a two-time All-American. He averaged 39 points and 15 rebounds as a senior. So needless to say, he was the first pick of the 1962 draft by the Chicago Zephyrs. But since they already had Walt Bellamy, he rotted on the bench. He still hadn't got surgery on his knee at this point, so he would secretly get it drained by private doctors to combat the swelling. He only lasted 3 years in the NBA as a hobbled husk of his true potential. He took some time to get his body right before he tried to stay in the ABA, where he found a little more success, but not on a consistent basis, as he was done with basketball altogether by the age of 30. Bill was drafted ahead of Zelmo Beaty, Dave Debusschere, Chet Walker, John Havlicek, and Jerry Lucas, and I hope today's video will further explain why this happened. Welcome to PZ Hoops, and let's get down to it. Bill was born on September 16, 1939 in San Angelo, Texas. His mom left him in the care of his relatives early on as she sought better job opportunities. After he moved back with his mom to Los Angeles, he attended Jefferson High School. It was clear that he would be a star, accomplishing the rare feat of making the all-city team as a freshman, also leading them to a city championship. It was during the summer of this year where Bill would create basketball history. He was playing in a pickup game at the LA Playground with Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain, and Guy Rogers.
And Wilt said, we're going to play a 3-on-3 to 50 points. And the game went on. Naturally, Russell and Wilt guarded each other. I mean, they was battling. I was at the free throw line, and Russell passed me the ball. I took one dribble, and Wilt was all over me. I faked once, and, well, he didn't really go for the fake. And I went straight up, because I could jump high. This was before my injury. I could jump high. I went straight up, and all kind of people had came in off the street because they had heard Russell, Wilt, Guy Rogers is at Dinker. And I went straight up and shot the jump hook, and Wilt, when I went up, Wilt went up also. And I don't know how I did that, but I shot it so high, not even Wilt, I mean, you know, I know he was superhuman, but it was too high for him. You know, it wasn't a regular shot. When I shot it, Wilt went up, I'll never forget, and he swiped at the ball, but the ball was up here, and he didn't get it. And the ball, Wilt was mad, believe me. And that's how I invented the jump hook.
Over the next 3 years, he was All-City 3 more times, being named a Parade All-American twice, but his junior season would define his entire career, as he severely injured his left knee in the city championship against Fremont High. The doctors described it as one of the worst they had ever seen, and they wanted to replace it with an iron kneecap. With a free college education literally knocking on his doorstep, Bill didn't want to stop playing, so he declined the procedure and fought through the pain. He was strongly recruited to be a Golden Bear, but since his grades weren't good enough, he chose the University of Utah, becoming the first black player in school history. The Utes had a pretty high-powered offense for the time, as they won their first 7 games, including an upset win over eventual champion Ohio State, where Bill put up 31 points and 13 rebounds. They ended the year on a 13-game winning streak, only losing once in the conference, so they were in the big dance. Bill was pretty solid as a sophomore, averaging 16 points and 10 rebounds. They faced USC in the opening tournament game, as Bill had 27 and 10 in the win. Oregon was next, and their defense held Bill to just 6 points and 6 rebounds. He had another rough performance in the consolation against Santa Clara, with 14 points and 6 rebounds on 3 of 9 shooting, but they were able to win. 1961 would be the year where Bill started to separate himself. The Utes started 0-2, but they quickly picked it back up, winning 10 straight games at one point. They were back in the NCAA tournament, as Bill averaged 28 points and 14 rebounds, making the second team All-America as he led the nation in scoring. He dropped 29 and 13 on LMU, followed by 31 and 18 on Arizona State. In the Final Four against Cincinnati, Bill put up 25 points and 8 rebounds, but on 11 of 31 shooting, and the Utes were blown out. The third place game against St. Joe's went to 4 overtimes, with Utah losing despite 34 points and 14 rebounds from Bill. If people thought his junior year was good, Bill's senior year was unbelievable. His jump hook made him nearly unstoppable in the paint. as he dropped at least 40 points 10 times, with his absolute best coming against BYU with a school record 60 points, including 19 in the last 12 minutes. He was the nation's top scorer again, so he was a first-team All-American this year, averaging 39 points and 15 rebounds on 56% shooting. Even though they won the conference championship, the Utes were banned from the tournament because one of the bench warmers accepted a plane ticket from a booster. This single-season scoring average is still the third highest in NCAA history, only trailing Frank Selvey and Pete Maravich. The 1962 draft was loaded, featuring 5 future Hall of Famers, but Bill was picked ahead of all of them, being selected by the Chicago Zephyrs. This is a very confusing selection though, as they already had Walt Bellamy, who was coming off one of the greatest rookie seasons of all time. Regardless, Bill signed a 2-year deal worth $34,000 along with a $5,000 signing bonus. His minutes were all over the place, but he dropped 28 points on the Knicks, and the season had 31 points and 6 rebounds on 14 of 18 shooting against the Knicks once more. With Walt's dominance, Bill only played about 10 minutes a game, which led to some bitterness and disappointment. But even as Sick Leonard became the player coach mid-season, the Zephyrs really couldn't compete, so they finished 25 and 55. Bill averaged 7 points and 3 rebounds. It seemed like Chicago was done with their number 1 pick already, as Bill was traded early in the season to the Knicks for Paul Hogue and Gene Shue. He was named the starting center, and he had his best season as a pro, dropping 28 points and 13 rebounds on the Hawks, 33 points, 4 rebounds, and 6 assists on 14 of 19 shooting against the Celtics, and a career-high 41 points and 11 rebounds on the Lakers. You probably would have liked more consistent rebounding from him, but with 5 games over 30 points, the offense was clearly there. He was actually 5th in the league in field goal percentage, while Len Chappell had a career season. The mid-season acquisition of Bob Boozer was a good signing, but the Knicks were atrocious defensively. This is probably why they only won 22 games, but Bill averaged 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. With the Knicks set to draft Willis Reed in 1964, Bill was traded to the Hawks for a second-round pick. He actually showed Bob Pettit how to do the jump hook, so an already elite player added another weapon to the arsenal. Even with this, Billy still continued to warm the bench before being traded to the Lakers. He was close to home, but he wasn't getting any more playing time. However, he had been keeping a secret this whole time. Bill never got surgery on his knee when he injured in high school, as he wore a knee brace to hide the fact that it was swelling constantly. Decision makers felt that he was slow-footed and a bad defender, but he had been playing hurt this whole time. Bill kept this injury a secret from everyone, even his own teammates. He felt that he would be released if he told the truth to the team doctors, so while on the road, he would look in the directory for a name of a physician and make an appointment. The doctor would drain his knee, and Bill would pay him under the table. After being waived by the Lakers, Bill sat out in 1965 to work at a youth foundation. In 1966, he signed a free agent deal with the Warriors, coming to camp with an added 25 pounds of muscle. He said he impressed Nate Thurman with his play. However, it was the presence of Bud Olsen that would get in the way. He was their top draft choice, and he played the same position. Bill recalled his last moments with the Warriors, saying, "One day, their owner, Frank Maioli, came to a scrimmage, and I was doing pretty well. I turned to look at him, and he's bouncing Olsen's kid on his knee. Nate told me when I got cut that it was a shame, and Bill Sharman, the coach, told me I should be making $100,000 in this league. That was the day he cut me." Bill played in the NABL for a year. Then he was invited to try out for the Indiana Pacers of the brand new ABA, although he didn't make the final roster. He returned to the minors yet again, but in 1968, he made the Denver Rockets opening night roster. He was the backup center behind Byron Beck, and he had some flashes of his Utah days, dropping 24 points and 18 rebounds in his second ABA game. He put up 25 points and 12 rebounds on the Mavericks, 15 points and 15 rebounds on the Pipers, and the season high 39 points and 11 rebounds on the Buccaneers. Bill was 5th in true shooting percentage, and this was his best season on the boards, recording 12 double-doubles. Larry Jones led the league in scoring, while Wayne Hightower and Byron Beck joined them in the All-Star game. The Rockets were solid on both sides of the ball, finishing with a 44-34 record. Bill averaged 13 points and 6 rebounds on a career-high 55% shooting. The Rockets faced the Oaks in the semifinals, and Bill's playing time was all over the place. He dropped 11 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists in Game 6, but the Rockets couldn't get it done on the road in Game 7. The 1969 season was a rough one for Bill, as he was traded to the Stars in the offseason. He had a pretty good role from the beginning, even averaging 26 points and 8 rebounds on 62% shooting over a 3-game stretch. But the Stars started losing, and with Bill in a slump, that was all the reason they needed to trade him to the Pipers for Craig Raymond. He dropped 31 points and 9 rebounds in his second game with the team, but he was traded again less than 3 weeks later, this time to Dallas, where he would rot on the bench. In this whirlwind of a year, Bill averaged 8 points and 5 rebounds. Bill was released by the Chaparrals in the offseason, and after an unsuccessful tryout with the Utah Stars, combined with the ever-increasing knee pain, he retired at the age of 31. He never completed his college degree, so his employment opportunities were limited after the league, but his connections in the sports world helped him secure a job at an aircraft manufacturer, a position he held for several years. He even wrote his own autobiography in 2013 entitled Billy the Hill and the Jump Hook. His family legacy continued with his grandson Ryan Watkins, an all-Mountain West selection at Boise State. Bill passed away on July 11, 2014 from natural causes, as he was 74 years old. Bill McGill essentially started his basketball career at a disadvantage, basically playing on one leg from the time he was a junior in high school. Even as his movement and jumping ability were severely diminished, he dominated the college game. He was the #1 pick in 1962, but he went to a team that already had an elite player at the same position. That seemed to be the case everywhere he went, as another big man who was better or had more favor with the franchise was chosen over him. Combine this with the fact that his knee was in constant pain, and you can see why his career turned out the way it did. Regardless of how his pro career went, he did invent a part of the game that a certain big man would take to the next level. So Bill does have his place in basketball history. Thank you guys. I really appreciate y'all for the support. And I would go and I would see Billy McGill and I would look like, okay, this guy's a former #1 pick. Like, how have I never heard of this guy? So then I look more into his story and I'm like, you averaged 39 in college? Like, what? Of course, when you think of today's lens, like, why didn't you just get the surgery? You should just got the surgery. But remember, this is the 60s. There are only 10 teams in the league, right? And these 10 teams might carry 12 guys. So at the most, you got 120 spots in the entire country. I'm not giving up my spot either. I wouldn't have said anything to them because in that day, those owners were looking for any reason to cut somebody. Like, what? You're hurt? Cut him. Oh, you're not playing good? Cut him. We'll fire somebody else. Like, what? You were playing your entire career on one leg. That's crazy. Getting a knee surgery back in the 60s usually meant your career was over. Like, you weren't gonna go back to playing after a knee surgery 9 times out of 10. This was still a time where the center was the most important player on the floor. And since he was essentially playing on one leg and couldn't really move like he wanted to, and the fact that you had somebody like Wilt dominating and Bill Russell and all these guys dominating, like every #1 pick was expected to be either those guys or at least a variation of them. But shout out to Billy McGill, man. Leave a like, hit that subscribe button, turn on my post notifications, check them out. Peace.